Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Today is the 14th of December 2020 as of the recording of this video, and I'm trying to answer the question if Tom Clancy's The Division 2 is actually worth it in 2020. Now, I made a video about this earlier, and in that video, I don't know if I answered the question for new players. I probably did answer it for some players who had left in the middle of the game, but it seems like from the feedback I got, players who left earlier on did not know what to make of that video. And I do apologize because there was a lot going on in the community at that point. And so somehow I veered off on that tangent trying to address those things. But let's look very closely at a few things and look at the scenario that we're in right now. So remember, for many people, it was kind of assumed in many cases, not every case anyways, that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be the nail in the coffin of the Division 2, but Cyberpunk 2077 is out and the user scores for now are just not anywhere close to what's going to shake or move any game's major player base to itself. So we can say that games like Destiny and the Division 2 were going to maintain their player base anyways. I mean, including Borderlands and Warframe. The kind of players that even play games like these usually stick with them anyways. Even if they go play another game, they'll still come back. So in terms of the Division 2, if you want to say if it's worth coming back, let's first start out with the price point, and then we'll move on to the player types and then what to expect from the game. So price points right now on PC, you're looking at $15. On PlayStation and Xbox, you're looking at $30. Now, on the PlayStation Store, there's a free trial. So you can basically try the game with no strings attached. You can just go download it, try it, and I think the trials for the Division usually span about 6 hours or until you get to level 8 of the game. So you can basically check it out and see what's going on. Now, at a $30 price point as a Division agent, I will tell you right now that from a price perspective, if you have $30 that you don't mind parting with, sure, but to be very fair, you can actually get this game much less when the holidays start to roll in. I'm talking maybe a little bit after Christmas or closer to January, where, you know, companies are trying to scrape up the last little bits of cash or change that are in people's pockets. This is where the price point, in my opinion, is very fair for the base game. There's also a big expansion that runs you from level 30, which level 30 is the max level in the base game, all the way through level 40. And so this expansion is about $22 as we speak, and I think on all of the major game stores, somewhere around there. And that's kind of what you want to target, because once you're done with the level 30 progression, you can play an end game over there in level 30. But what I've learned from a lot of people playing that end game is it's not as satisfactory. So what you want to do is you want to pool all your cash to get the very best deal, to get both the base game and the expansion that's called Warlords of New York. It is the year 2 expansion, and it comes with all of that. So regarding price point, you have to basically judge for yourself if you're willing to part with that amount of money or if you want to wait for a sale. Now, you're going to scroll through the comments of this video and you're going to see different opinions, but at the end of the day, it's your own money and you basically care to do what you want to do with it. Now, for those who left the game earlier, you already own the game. And for those of you who most likely left in the middle of the game, maybe say after Warlords of New York, you already own the expansion. And so there's much for you to catch up with, there's much playing for you to do, because the game has basically changed. And I will say, in my opinion, the game has somewhat improved very much on the PvE side. I have to put that caveat because the PvP right now is actually struggling on PC. In fact, the reports from 2 content creators that I do know, Dadefuye and Kamikaze Von Doom, is that it's filled with hackers, it's filled with people who are doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans, and Massive needs to find a way to patch that up. So if you're getting the game or you're trying to come back in for the PvP, I don't think it's conducive based on the reports that I've received. But when it comes to the PvE side of the game, you have a lot of content to engage in. For those of you who may have left a while ago, you have the Summit, which allows for you to actually farm customized loot, which has a very, very higher difficulty loop that allows for you just to suffer if you really want to do that. Or you can play other mission types and you still have the capability of getting good gear. Regarding exotics, they've opened up a lot of the exotics to the open world where you can get most of them. Some of them are still gated behind specific activities. If you look at the raids still have their exotics that are gated behind them. The Summit does have an exotic that's also gated behind it, but it's only activity based. It's not necessarily that oh, you must, fight your way all the way to the top. All you got to do is just do the activities in order to get the exotic weapon. There's also an exotic chest piece that's tied to the summit, but you don't have to finish the summit to actually get it. Somebody can actually drop it for you because it's actually in the open world pool for people who have gotten it before. So I got mine. It was given to me by some people, and I haven't beaten the summit yet because, to be very honest, fighting 100 floors gets really tedious for people like me. I prefer legendary structured missions. Those are the kinds of missions I prefer. And so for those of you who watch my streams, you've seen me on there almost, countless times. Now, when it comes to, basically the future of the game, regarding where the game is going to be going, I think this is more relevant for people who are already purchasers or owners of the game. And right now, the development team have not said anything. In fact, we thought, or we assumed, that they were going to talk about a possible year 3 before they talked about a Division 3, because many of us perceive that because this is Ubisoft, they're most likely going to be working on a Division 3 currently. But they went ahead and they never have said anything. They were going to do a special event this holiday that was going to lead into the 4th season, but they decided to go ahead and push it and make it a special event rather than a regular, season event that was supposed to be codenamed Nightmare. So right now, everything is just kind of in limbo, but I will say that the fun to get some of the really cool items that you may not have gotten since you left is actually worth coming in and spending a few hours playing. If you're thinking that maybe as you left the game, you're going to come back and you're looking for another maybe 50, 60 hours, I don't think you're going to find it here unless you want to engage in optimization, which is a new system that they've actually brought to the game. If you played the Division 1, you remember the optimization station if you're a veteran. And if you're new, an optimization station is just a portal for you to be able to designate resources to maximize your gear and get them to full strength. It is an expensive, system because you have to farm and you have to go, gather all kinds of resources. Many veteran players ignore it anyways, but if you have a bunch of stuff lying in your stash or in your resource, backpack, you can use them in order to get your gear min-maxed. Now, I guess these are basically some of the things that the Division 2 is worth playing for if you were, say, coming back to the game. And then if you're new, how much playtime can you get from this game? Now, on average, a lot of new players are seeing themselves fast track and are getting about the progression that many other players are getting in around 2 to 3 to 400 hours. And I say 2 to 3 to 400 hours because you can basically boost your character from level 1 through level 30 if you were to buy the game and buy the New York expansion. And then you can play the next 10 levels to level 40 and then spend the remaining of those 100 or almost 200 hours just playing the end game content because they're very challenging. You need to gear up and you need to be able to farm and get the right items to make yourself useful while playing these end game missions or quests with other people. So this is what's going to take you along that 100 200 hours to get everything together. So there is some value in playing that long if you actually do like the game. And so that's basically where things generally stand right now. And then if you eventually find yourself where you like the game, you might find yourself playing for much more time than that. Another thing too is talking about the platform that you'll be playing the game on. If you're going to be playing the game on PC, you're going to be playing a very polished game. It's one of the best looking, best performing games that you're going to get on your PC. Now, there are some glitches, but they're very minimal on the PC platform. Now, here's the catch. If you're playing on the PlayStation 4, that's where we've seen a lot of problems if you do not have a solid state drive installed in your game. Now, for the longest time, the Division 2 got a lot of flack because its biggest player base is on the PlayStation. And PlayStation, Sony being the company they are, were able to sell a bunch of these consoles. And when the Division 2 came out, the developers one day mentioned that a solid state drive would do a better job, and the community memed them to death. It wasn't until some people started to change their hard drives, they started to see better improvements and better performance. Now, that is on the developers to have at least optimized a version of the game for the PlayStation, so they should have gone ahead to do that and made that concession because knowing that the PlayStation was their biggest player base, this is something that should have been done for that, for that console in general. But what we're seeing now is they've done a lot of fixes and a lot of patches, and it's alleviated a lot of that. I mean, it's not Cyberpunk broken on PlayStation 4, but it is better, and it took a while to get there. So these are some of the challenges that have been faced by the game on that console. Now, if you do have a PS5, you have nothing to worry about. The game, according to a lot of the reports, is going to run beautifully on a PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation 5. It runs very fast on it from my PlayStation version. I have the PC version as well. On the Xbox, I can't necessarily speak to performance personally, but I've also been gleaning a lot of information from the Xbox community as to how it runs on the Xbox, and from the people that have the Xbox One X, some people who have maybe even the base Xbox One. Many have said that the game performs very well on these consoles. If you're looking for people to run missions with, there are clans that you can find. There's a Division 2 Discord. There are YouTubers who have clans, as well, that you may be able to join. You can join their Discord servers, and you can join a community of gamers who will be able and happy to walk you through some of the things that you may have difficulties understanding in the game. And the people that are currently left playing the game right now are actually very dedicated and much more willing to do that, believe it or not. So The Division 2, in my opinion, is a worthwhile game to play, especially now that, we're in a place where the biggest and most anticipated game of how many years is now out. Everybody now understands where their priorities and their own preferences lie in video games. And I will say, without a question of the doubt, if you have the money to part with, if you've been thinking about it, or if you've been a Division 1 player for a long time and you haven't taken the step to move to the Division 2, I'd say why not? Give it a try. You're a Division agent anyways. If there are things in the Division 2 that you don't like, that's normal. You'll also find things in the game that you do like because you're a Division agent anyways. I hope I've been able to answer these questions. My goodness, it's already almost 13 minutes into this video. I'll get out of your hair. If there's something I missed, please make sure that you can ask in the comment section. There are people in this community that will be happy to help and people that will be happy to answer. I guess that's it for me. Thank you very much for your time and audience. Hopefully, we'll talk in another video. Peace out.